Dr. Sanajama come to me and say, Marcio, you have my support. You are coming to Namibia. I say, yes, I am coming to Namibia. And this is the former president. He gave him all the support. Then when we see Namibia today as the next supergiant province of the South Atlantic, we have to not only to praise him, to praise the Dr. Pohamba, that was the president at the time, that gave us all the support, and the actual president, Dr. Raj. Then without these guys, you don't get anywhere. And then we went there, we got the blocks, and we did, as you know, the largest IPO in Brazil, and we said we are going deeper. And the first wells in GAT, we got, there was two prospects, Maastrichtian turbidite, carbonate system, beautiful, full of amplitude anomalies. And there is this Cretaceous turbidites, Albian Cenomanian turbidites. That's the same that discovered now with good amplitude, but they were, how did you say, not as thick as we thought. A lot of this was volcanic ash, but we drill and we find oil, beautiful oil, 41-degree API, pure. And then we got this oil, but we didn't get any source rock. And against all my people, because was the CEO of HRT, I said, I'm going deeper. And I drill more 700 meters, and this changed everything. Because we drill about 120 meters of kudu source rocks with up to 6 to 7% TOC, type 1, type 2, beautiful source rock, and has not been completely transformed. Then if you restore this, would be 9-10% TOC. Then this changed completely the history of everything. Then we went up to Murambi, and in Murambi, beautiful turbidites, but what's happened there, turbidites that was sand was in the Maastrichtian. When we get to the Albion, was fully, the reservoirs fully of volcanic ash. What that means to us, and we did all the prospect going to go to ultra deep water where Total is today. Then we had a prospect there, and then we went down to Moosehead. Moosehead was a huge carbonate in the rift. Then it's the pre-sol. We are looking for the microbiolites. Was a structure of almost 1,700 square kilometers. And we got the microbiolites, but completely obliterated. When we went from the fourth and last well that would be close to shell of the discoveries, there was a lot of business of people fighting in the company and so on. And there is history that we stopped. We didn't drill this well. HRT transforming PetroRio. PetroRio put all his money in production and stopped the exploration activities in Namibia. And we had all that blocks that today the discoveries are occurring. And I never had any doubt because we did the most complete petroleum system assessment in the whole basin, and we could predict. Was very good here to talk to you because you are a witness when I present my paper in Cape Town, The Land of Giants. Yeah? And I present 3 other papers that I have been saying, look, we have discovered, they will discover the problem is to drill. And it's amazing because shell drill in a block that is the structure is even bored in one of our blocks that you have a fantastic structures. You have this beautiful amplitude in the Albion Cenomanian sandstones, and now proving our studies, we can see all this ultra deep water turbidites food plain of Total with 82 meters of thickness, 1 to 2 billion barrels, and the future of Namibia would be unbelievable. I could say to you today, you have 3 very hot areas already proved in the South Atlantic. Now that you have in Namibia, we have Guyana and Suriname, and you have Santos and Campos Basin. We have not touched the deep water of Espírito Santo Basin. That would be another, similar of Campos and Santos. And there is so much of Campos and Santos in the external highs that has not been touched yet. But when we say the land of giants, I think that we have to review everything that we talk about West Africa, about Brazil, equatorial margin of Brazil. I published a book about APG Memoir 74. I say the elephant basin of Foz do Amazonas, and I compare everything that you have there with the same kind of petroleum system as the guys are finding in Guyana today. And it's 10 times the size of Guyana. Then even when you ask me, Marcio, and about the other areas of West Africa, we have to start to go deeper. It's funny how exploration moved, okay? It's moved by when you have one discovery and everybody focus there and forget the rest. But we have to learn. For Campos, go deeper in Campos and Santos Basin took us 10 years to go there. Yeah. For Namibia, we entered in Namibia, and if you remember, 2012, we drilled in 2012, end of 2012, then took us 10 years to come and to drill again. And in Guyana, took 10 years. Then we have this span of 10 years. But this showed to us that the whole southern part of Angola, it's a frontier. It's a huge frontier of exploration. You know what I mean? South Africa, south of the Orange Basin, it's another frontier of exploration. I tried to convince the South African PetroSA. I went there to visit them 3 times, and I showed to them, come on, guys, it's going. But you know what I mean? The paradigms in our science, it's really tough for the development of idea. It's everybody, they don't came with a kind of a positive approach. Okay, let's investigate. People say, no. There, in Santos, they used to tell me, Marcia, you're crazy. If you go too deep, it will be so hot that you have only gas. Second, you will not have a reservoir there. If you have carbonate or sandstone there, because the pressure and temperature, they will be completely, obliterated. No porosity. Why? Because we drill Santos and Campos shallow water. And of course, you are going to shallow water, all these microbiolines are full of shale. And when you have the diagenesis, everything obliterated. And I used to say, my friends, do basin modeling. The salt will act as a pressure release and act as well as a temperature release. I published that. You see, Mello, I published a kind of how in the top of the salt diapirs you have the highest temperature, and you go to the bottom was normal temperature. And this is science, and it's very important. When I say I, it's not I was just the guy that take the burden to carry. When I say I did that, I say that I have more than 50 publications about the pre-salt before they discover it, and when they discover and say, come on, it's widespread and so on. But it's how there is, you say, oh, but why? Because the data, I was privileged to be the head of the first center of excellence of Brazil, the geochemistry, with 100 brilliant guys, everybody working together. And this was when I retired from Petrobras. I said, okay, I'm going myself. And I put a company that, the HRT Petroleum, and I put the company to go to the pre-salt of Brazil. But the President Lula closed, as you know, all the pre-salt bids. And I said, okay, if I cannot be in Brazil, I'm going to Namibia. And I get all the blocks in Namibia. And I'm really glad that the Namibian people deserve. They are fighters. And this, and I guarantee this will be an example of how a country, because I have talked with this gentleman, these presidents, and all the time they visit me in Brazil. I had the pleasure to have a visit me. Dr. Sana Joma was in my house in Rio, and we discussed a lot. And Dr. Haj, the actual president, and he said, Marcio, if you find a lot of oil, what to do? I say, you have to use the oil for the country. You have to use the oil for, you have a small population, young people, use education. Mm-hmm. Because the petroleum one day will finish, but if you put all this for the well-being of the people in education, in science, in technology, my friend, you'll be a new, well, Switzerland of the world, you can say like that.
Marcio, I'm pretty sure you to a degree have already answered this, but the Orange Sub-basin is now proven with Graph and Venus. Windgat basically proved there's light oil up in the north, south of the Wolfus Ridge. The Lüderitz sub-basin, in between the two of them, has only had like one well drilled so far in there. And what do you think? I mean, you think that the whole of the Southwest African Coastal Basin has the same kind of potential as the Orange Sub-basin? Or do you think, maybe the Orange has more potential because maybe there's more structure or something like that?
Yeah, you have to study everything under the concept of petroleum system. In the Orange Basin, you have a beautiful set of trap and seals association. You have all the thermal evolution that went from over mature to peak generation, and you have the source mapped there, and you have the lacustrine, and you have the marine. As you go to Lüderitz up one, if you go to there, you get Cenomanian, Turonian, with 50% TOC. Imagine, in several wells, beautiful and thick. You have a 40, 50, 60 meters where we drill. If you go to the depot center, it will be more, but you have a problem of thermal evolution. You didn't have boreal enough, and even the heat flow enough to put this in shallow water in the oil window. But as you go ultra deeper, with the stretching of the lithosphere, you have this thermal stuff. And I tell you, you have canyons there of 50 to 100 kilometers. Then the potential, and if you say, Marcio, it's only the Cretaceous, what about the Cenozoic? We cannot rule it out because it's the same as Campos and Espírito Santo. As you have Marlin, and I truly believe as you go to the outboard of Marlin, I told that you get Marlin left, and if you go further, you get, hydrocarbons. You can go to the outboard, and we did the oil slick studies in Namibia and in Brazil and so on, and you get a lot of oil seeps in the outboard, and people say, oh, outboard doesn't have anything. It's another paradigm. Outboard is a volcanic margin, okay? It's not a continental margin. Then there is no rift there, but you have the sag, and the sag you could see in Campos and in Santos, the Barra Nova. You have some up to what we drill. You cannot find very significant source rocks, but they are there. They're not very thick, but they are there. And I classify oils from the Barra Nova, Carcará fields from Equinor. The oil is coming from the sag. Of course, it's a mixing oil that came from the rift as well. The good of this basin, Justin, is that the petroleum system comes from in some of this basin, from the top of the lower Cretaceous to the top of upper Cretaceous to the bottom of lower Cretaceous, with several environment, lacustrine hypersaline, lacustrine saline, lacustrine fresh water, and all of them generate oil, and the oil mixed and then and imagine several potential source rocks that cross the whole oil window. This is brilliant for then the problem there in the Lutterites and in Kwanza Basin, there is no wells. And you say, Marcio, but you believe in the potential? Yes. Why? Because source rock systems are not local. Source rock systems are continental to epicontinental events. And then the kudu are in Orange, are in Lutterites, and you know what I mean. And below the kudu, you have the Bahamian, because kudu is Upton Albion. But below there, you have the Bahamian, and the South African discovered lacustrine oils. You remember when people say Namibia is only gas, and do you know why I knew that it was a lie? Because as I entered in Namibia, the first stuff that I do, I got all the shallow water wells. I took to my lab in Brazil, and I did supercritical extractions. Because when you have migration of oil, leaking oil, most of this oil, because they're very light, they get lost or they are degraded by bacteria. But some get absorbed inside the grains. Then doing the supercritical with hot temperature, I managed to extract this and I analyze. And I have all the oils. I have lacustrine oils, and I published that. I'm publishing now because I was the only guy that did. I spend money because people only spend money in seismic. People don't look that seismic gives you the container, but the important is the important is the food, and the important is the liquid, and this you do using geochemistry. Then I knew that was there. I was talking to you last week, if you remember, that north of Lutterites Basin, we did a kind of a satellite image, and we did a piston core full of pocket marks, full of oil seeps. Come on. And nobody went there. People say that went there, drilled 2 wells there. I was going to drill a well there, but was my first well in the board of Lutterites, but we said, no, let's go to Orange, because we have money for 4 wells. And I said, I want to go to this Vingat. It was a lie. I want to go to Orange and drill my wells in Orange. But my people said, the ship is coming from Côte d'Ivoire. You are passing over this beautiful carbonate anomaly in Vingat. Come on, drill this one.
Marcia, I remember you telling me that in 2014. I was sitting next to you and you said you wanted to come down from the bottom and work your way north.
Yes.
And it was mobilizing from the north. And by the time you got to the 4th well, the crocodiles had closed in.
No, the 3, I finished the 3. And after the 3rd, I knew the mistakes. Because when we did the 3 wells, we didn't have the velocity of the using the seismic, the modeling the velocity of the seismic controlled by the lithology. After we drill, we could know, because we made the mistake to see amplitude anomalies where was amplitude anomalies in volcanic ash. But after drill, the 4th well, we are going through the Albion where shell is. And I do not have I try to convince, and I even try to tell these crocodiles to put my own money. This is true. I say, I put my own money, but let me drill there, and they do not allow. But this is history. The most important is the problem is we have to be very happy. I am so thrilled by the Namibian guys. I didn't feel like a relief that people will say, oh, Marcio, make a mistake. They say that there is oil, there is not oil. My friend, as I told you, numbers don't lie.